Hi Capricorns, and welcome to your reading. Welcome back. If you have been here before, if you subscribed, if you're a newbie, welcome. Just please watch that you get some messages. You cannot expect to get everything, but this is why I suggest check your moon sign, sun sign, and your ascendant. If you don't know how to do that, I actually provide a link where you can get it for free, so just check it in the description. So let's start. Last week I finished all the signs and they just went whoosh in Windows Update. You're getting whale, breach. Look at that kind of like sense of kind of like getting somewhere, getting out of somewhere. So when my readings all vanished, it almost like was a message to me, kind of like approach it differently, approach it from a different angle. So I'm starting with big messages. I used to do these big messages in the beginning. My readings have been going on for freaking forever, 40 minutes, 60 minutes. And I don't think everybody wants to sit and watch that long. I still want to give the message to you, but let's kind of like go in two parts. The first part is just check kind of like major messages that you get, and then we are going to kind of like break it down. So you're getting a Sea King or King of Cups, which kind of like makes sense with this enormous amount of water that we have. Let me kind of like zoom this in a little bit so you can see it closer. Ooh, then you have the Five of Sky, and then you have Eight of Pentacles. So these are major messages, kind of like everything else is going to kind of like go back into it. So first, this is really talking about possibly somebody appearing in your life. Sea King is somebody who is a really good listener, who is actually supportive, kind of like no matter what. It's somebody who is really appealing to kind of the soft part of your personality. It's not going to be a solution solver kind of a thing, but it just might do the work for you. It's somebody who just is there, soft place to fall, and it's just amazing kind of like to have people like that around, right? Well, Five of Sky is a little bit of controversial card. It's really talking about maybe a classist attitude, if you wish. Maybe somebody doesn't feel good enough for you. Maybe you don't feel good enough for somebody else. And hence, we have this preach. You kind of like need to get out of your environment and have fun. Kind of like don't constrain kind of like yourself, because we see this. You know, this powerful creature, like the boss of the ocean, so takes this like sweeps with fins. It's almost like, you know, kind of like really it's a joy. It's jumping out of the element he lives, even if just a few seconds, right? And that connects over here. Like, I mean, there are like two ways of looking at it, two ways of how, you know, kind of like bursting out of some situation. Here we have alley cats and we have Sphinx cat. So alley cats are saying, what the heck, dude? Get out. You have like your household. You're like pampered kitty cat. We have been thrown out, right? We are full of fleas and, you know, nobody wanted us, but we don't want you. You have everything taken care of. Kind of equivalent, you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth. So it's maybe kind of like that somebody felt you're too good for them, or you feel you're not good enough for somebody. And honestly, everything is kind of like boiling down to some kind of like patience, to some kind of like waiting. Something is brewing, something is really, really happening. But at the same time, I would say, guys, take a break, right? I'm not talking about coffee break, but sort of like a respite from your usual environment that you normally dwell in. Just try different food, try to talk to people who are very different, right? Maybe trip, I don't know how much traveling is possible right now, right? But maybe you're tired of being indoors, go outdoors. I don't care how much you need to bundle. I'm wearing 2 pairs of pants and 2 pairs of like t-shirts and a sweater on top of it and a winter coat and 2 hats. And I'm just out walking in the snow, and it's kind of like really everything is starting to create differently when you're outdoors, right? I think there was like a lesson over here about the familiarity, which is really important to your earth sign. So you don't mind waiting, and you're waiting and you're waiting for something to happen. This is clearly telling me, A, you need to get something out of your system. You need to talk certain things out. There are certain things that are bothering you. There are certain sharp edges in your life, and things kind of like have to go elsewhere. and B, that you simply need to kind of like almost like start fresh. Just think that maybe you moved there, you just moved there, it's a new town, you don't know anybody, and that kind of like thinking can actually move you forward. It's kind of like getting that another perspective, right? Because at breaking through the barrier of beliefs that maybe we constricted, we are kind of creating the life for ourselves, and it could be a very good life, but maybe you're missing somebody really special, because the Sphinx here is really, really special. It just doesn't feel accepted. So somebody's going to be square peg in a round hole over here in the situation. And so let's get into more details to see what is this all about. It's really telling you that this breach, it's going to bring you joy, that you're going to really kind of like being in some kind of like completely different circumstances. All right, let's see. Capricorns. It's getting also unstuck. It's also getting, you know, enthusiastic, and that's actually really lovely. So Capricorn. Oh, Capricorn needs relaxation and rest. Lavender. Oh my gosh, few drops of lavender and 1 cup of Epsom salt in a warm bath, and you will be relaxing your sore muscles, and your soul is going to just sink. 4 of Swords is always talking about gratitude. And gratitude is not very active component, right? It's very inactive and very internal, right? So it's kind of like finding inner strength if you really wish, right? And expressing gratitude for everything that we have. It's kind of lovely as this card being the starting point, almost like we see a kitty win, whatever you call this, win something, somebody help me. It's where the wind is blowing kind of a thing. It doesn't matter. I'm here nice and cozy, and I'm feeling kind of like quite fine. Only thing that bothers me is the light. But it almost like tells me there's like going to be something about the senses. They are bringing our attention to that lavender field over here, and that is wind, meaning the scent is circulating around. Maybe it's going to be some kind of trigger in scent. That's one of the most powerful triggers that we might have, because we are, after all, going through Mercury retrograde. It started on January 30th. It goes all the way up to 20th. And then just before 20th, there's a big blow up, celestial blow up. It's your ruler Saturn is blowing up with Uranus, right? So Saturn is very weird. Saturn and Uranus rule Aquarius. Saturn rules you, and Saturn also rules Aquarius. So Saturn wants control, wants tradition, wants to have things organized, wants establishment, wants kind of that hierarchy that you kind of had over there with Sphinx Kitty. Uranus is saying, kind of a ha-ha, right? It's almost like somebody, which planet are you from? Uranus is everything the opposite. No, I don't want tradition. I don't want kind of like, I want to take down the government. Let's start from the scratch. It's like, oh my God, I'm dealing like with a 2-year-old child. For you, it's a major nightmare. And for them, it's like looking at you as a square. So now that's a major blow up in the sky on the 17th, plus Mercury retrograde, which is actually probably good, because the next day on February 18th, we are moving into Pisces, and that more empathy kind of note is going to be very, very beneficial. So this is crossed with, ta-da, Ace of Sky. So this is the victory. This is kind of like claiming something, right? I don't know what's this British comedian? I cannot think of it. He's a trans person. I think he identifies as she. So my apologies. I'm really bad on these kind of like pronouns, but it's freaking amazing. I think it's a politician who used to be a stand-up comedian in both English and French. And this is kind of like one of those things that he kind of had a routine about. He said, all you need to do to claim something is just to plant the flag. We invented the flag. We Brits invented the flag. We went to India, put the flag, and that's ours. Never mind fighting, kind of a thing, right? So something like that, kind of like you're having this idea. These are sky cards. These are sword cards. Sword cards are very spiritual, and sword cards are also very action oriented. This is the fastest suit of all. So something is happening very swiftly, even though we saw in your kind of like MRI in the beginning that you got 7 of Pentacles, which is like about biding your own time, waiting for something to happen. And then you have a fire tome over here. Can you see his tail being kind of like a little bit burned? It's about adventure, it's about curiosity, and I have to unzoom this in order for you to see this properly. So this actually can talk about, let's say, quick relationship. It can talk about something that is going on, right? It can talk about that maybe somebody's not really serious about something and kind of like moving it forward. This is coming from the past. You kind of like had a little loop. Maybe you got stuck in a situation, you got into that rat wheel, and you're kind of like at this stage feeling urged to get out of the situation. It could be freaking this whole pandemic and people distancing, and we don't have the normal communication, we have to wear masks. It's all getting to you because it just like feels like lack of freedom for you, right? Which is interesting, right? That kind of like you really need to kind of like jump out of the situation. Above you is another 4. It's 4 of C. So look at that. Somebody needs lots of rest. Somebody needs to kind of like step aside. This can talk a little bit about lethargy. This can talk about things. So it almost looks to me that maybe you are overthinking certain things, and that's why the Ace of Swords showed up. It's telling you, you need to cut this crap, change the environment. That is immediately going to shift you in new thinking. And if you did change environment, you went for a long walk and you came back home and you're still thinking the same, you need to go for a second walk and a third and a fourth, right? This is talking about have some kind of like sense of adventure. Start thinking a little bit about things moving forward. So then you have the Star. So this is the major arcana. Look at this. The kitty cat is looking at the lion, and I really kind of like want to go there. So this can indicate your Aquarian friends. This can indicate your Leo friends. It definitely is finally feeling hopeful. Over here, I'm seeing that constraint and really need to do this activity, really need to move forward. But this is truly when we move forward, when we are really eager. Like, it's a difference between I got to do that and I want to do that. And you're getting into this I want to do that state, right? In your own house, you have the Emperor. So that could be Aries. It could be you feeling very strong on your feet. You're feeling in control. You're feeling kind of like the things are organized and kind of like all is well. So that's kind of like interesting because you have 4 and you have a 4 and you have a 4 over here. So something is brewing this month that is going to culminate in April for you. So also Ace of Swords, before I forget, sword has 2 blades. So it means that you need to cut some things inside, and you also need to kind of relieve certain things on the outside. So certain things need to go, whether they are subscriptions or memberships or people. You have to figure out what needs to go. But you also have to figure out what inside you need to change, even though you're getting suggestion. You need to kind of like experience kind of like different things. Your environment, your environment could be very negative. You have like this 5 of Earth over here, right? And over there you had the 5 of Sky. Remember the little Sphinx kitty? They're both 5s. 5s could be challenging. Right here the kitty cat is looking. Oh, look at these cats are snuggling inside and they're having a good time. And they have a fireplace. If this is not blurry, you would see it. But what about me? And before you start feeling sad and crying for the little kitty, this kitty has freedom. And this kitty, if you know anything about cats, they absolutely love going around the places, and they can even survive in Antarctica. So that is like all about positioning. It's kind of like simply somebody did freeze you out, or somebody is just having their own issue. It could be that somebody lost a job, or somebody's having financial issues of some sort, or they're feeling at odds with you, or you're feeling, because look at the contrast from somebody feeling solid over here to somebody turning back and saying, and again it goes back, remember how my first thought was it's about elitism, it's about somebody feeling not good enough. And that's what I see over here really really prominently. Your hopes and fears, we have consequences. That's another karma card. Interestingly, you have a karma card that has the numerology value of 1, and this is 11. So you have 111, which talks about your spirit angels, which talks about some kind of healing. But look at this. Like, things got tangled up. And maybe that's what happens with life. We kind of accumulate crap. We feel like a magnet to crap. So we eventually, and that's why this is telling you, you need to get rid of the stuff that is not needed. When consequences come up, right, and like now you have 3 major arcana already, it's telling that things are actually revolving in a good way for you, that you are getting a just kind of like deal, that things are the way it should be, that maybe kind of like you also need to understand that, like, it has to be some kind of balance in this entire situation. It can also represent somebody with Libra, right? Because that's what this means. It's kind of really interesting that you have both Leo and Aquarius axis, and you have Aries and Libra, and they would be just like that, which almost like it reminds me of a Wheel of Fortune, which is kind of like introduction of some luck. It's introduction of some kind of like joy. And then you have Earth Dome, and I believe this represents you. Earth Dome, to me, it's ultimate friendship. That makes sense. We actually are going through the sun in Aquarius. Transition is not necessarily what you like. Whenever we go to the sun sign, which we just finished your birthday, the very next one is like, oh shucks, now I have to wait an entire year for my time to come through. And it's not the best time right after. Usually that's why we feel tired, we feel exhausted. On top of that, if you live in the northern hemisphere, it's, oh my gosh, it's a bloody mess. Like, it's cold and it's not necessarily all this fruitful stuff. So February 1st, when Venus entered Aquarius, and when that happens, it's really important to connect with people platonically. It can be romantic interest, but it doesn't look like you want to do that. You want to be that horn dog, or somebody is kind of like trying to jump your bones. Be careful, because that might not be productive. With now seeing everything, now you have 2 toms, and you might have 2 different opportunities. Somebody can be very sexy, and somebody you might not know where you are. Somebody can be very, very platonic, right? So up to the 25th, when Venus goes into Pisces, it's really good to build strong relationship foundation, because if you have interest in somebody and if you are platonic, that is building really brick by brick. Versus when Venus in Pisces, it's not a good fit, right? Venus belongs to air and earth, so it kind of like shares this kind of 2 elements. It's represented in the Empress card in tarot. But when Venus in Pisces, it's really odd. We tend to romanticize the partner very much. People even tend to quickly fall in love and have a quick marriage, and then, oh my God, you're nothing like I thought, because eventually this whole veil and illusion comes down. So be careful about that. So what do I need to check over here? I want to check this environment. What is this all about that this wants to talk to us? And you're getting wife. Okay, people, this can also talk about a third-party situation, and maybe that's why you have consequences. Maybe some of you are getting divorced. Maybe you're having like those kind of like merged marriages, kind of like considerations. This also is a Venus principle, right? And also Libra is ruled with Venus here that we see. You have a Mars, you have Uranus, you have the Sun. So this card here really talks about, it doesn't have to be that there's like a woman with a child. It could be just like simply a concept of a sword, that is somebody who is trustworthy. And maybe this is why it feels, somebody feels that they're out of sorts, so hence, somebody's in a committed relationship, so hence, they're looking at you like you are luring them in, and they want to go, but they kind of like can't. Be very careful, because there is like something, you almost like, it feels like you have an inclination, you want to go and maybe help this person. Maybe this can even talk about the business. As I said, somebody can be down and out financially and kind of like give them. It can talk about generosity of some sort, or even a refuge of some sort. But what is really needed over there if you really want inclined to go toward this person, they need somebody, again, platonic, dependable, and trustworthy. So you really need to ask yourself if you fit in this concept. But your main message is not being a savior, even though you have two knights. But two knights, to me, it's more like about two different facets of your own personality, and kind of like need to serve you. You need to start this month slowly. You need to kind of like get enough R&Rs, because it looks like there are still certain things that could be a nightmare, that could very well connect to this person. Maybe you're cleaning some crap off your plate, and that's why you feel free. So free falling kind of a thing. It's the name of the month. And I really, really hope that kind of like gives you a proper direction where you need to go. So my dear Capricorn, just to let you know that every Saturday I have live when I do weekly readings. So come on at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. If you join my Instagram or Facebook, I post there like exact link, so you can just click on it versus trying to figure it out on a channel where it is. And if you want my reading, contact me via cattarot.ca, or my email is down in the description box as well. If you want to leave a comment, not publicly, and just send it to me, that's great as well. I always love to hear from you. And what else to tell you? Just guys, don't forget to check your sun sign, your ascendant, and your moon sign. It's going to give you more messages. Click on the subscribe button if you haven't already, if you got messages, and if you see this bell button, that way you need to click on it to get my notifications. So, c'est la vie for now. I wish you all the best this month. Happy Valentine's, and I'll talk to you soon. All the best.